Hello and welcome to News Tonight. I am Rhoda. Ngonzi on sign language. Elizabeth Nakakoni will dig into where the COVID-19 vaccine trial has been launched in Uganda. The Uganda-made vaccine, whose scientific code is UBV01N, will be tried on 128 COVID-19 patients already admitted at Morocco Hospital. The UBV01N clinical trial is a climax of a research by a team of Ugandan scientists led by Dr. Grace Nambatia Cheyune that began in April 2020. The product is the first Ugandan natural chemotherapeutic one to go through an international level clinical trial process.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has presided over the launch of Uganda's first COVID-19 clinical trials at Morocco National Referral Hospital.
It is now my pleasure to hand UBV-01 November N01N to this man whom I am keeping at a distance in case he has got corona. But I can have a photograph.
The drug UBV-01N is a product of the Natural Chemotherapeutics Research Institute, anticipated to have antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and immunological abilities. The product has already gone through multiple quality assurance steps and has got all necessary certifications and approval for human use and in a clinical trial setting. Speaking at the launch, President Museveni decried the tendency of over-reliance on the Western world by many African countries.
I don't know what's the problem with Africans. How they can sit here like maggots and they are dying and they are waiting for Europeans to save them. If the Europeans don't get a vaccine, we shall die and all will get finished. If they don't get a solution, we shall die. This one I cannot accept. I really feel infuriated when I see Africans sitting here, waiting to die, if the Europeans don't find a solution. The Nyankore word is Oxugay.
He congratulated Ugandan scientists for coming up with this treatment solution, saying it validates his push for improved pay among health professionals.
One of my targets will be to ensure that our scientists are well paid. I will no longer tolerate a situation of scientists who are worried about what to eat and what to put on. When I came from the bush, I found some scientists at Kawanda. I don't want to mention their names. One had a shoe which was like this.
The president was also informed of the lengthy procurement process the team behind this new treatment had to endure. On this, Museveni warned against the unnecessary red tape in procurement, which he says leads to corrupt tendencies.
The people who are so-called procurement people, how can they not know this? So when they were buying those machines like this one, which we want for our vaccine, they bought that and I said, go to hell, I don't want to hear that. I order you go and pay for it. Forget about that idiotic so-called procurement law.
On her part, the Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, revealed that the clinical trial will ensure validation of the drug, enhance its repression, and thereafter will be rolled out for industrial production and public use. The UBV-01N is a brainchild of the Presidential Scientific Initiative on Epidemics, which is a think tank of scientists with a core mission of developing products and tools to respond to COVID-19 and other epidemics. Samuel Sendono, UBC News.
And a joint security task team has pledged to provide security in the post-election period. The Inspector General Police says the elections were peaceful and commended security personnel for a job well done. Over 200 election-related offences were reported to police across the country during the election season.
Internal Affairs Minister General J.J. Odong has directed the Director CIID, Grace Akulo, to investigate cases of abducting people using private number plates.
So it will be helpful, as I mentioned earlier, if we could try to be a little more specific.
This followed inquiries by journalists regarding the whereabouts of abducted persons.
It was Semudu.
Yes.
He was abducted from
Masanaf.
Masanaf.
Yes.
Okay. The director CID is here, and she's therefore accordingly tasked to take up this matter.
So the country will be informed at an appropriate time.
Security officials disclosed that investigation into the assassination of Isaac Senyange, also known as Zebra, is still underway.
The president accepted responsibility that it was security agencies who did it. Who in particular? That's what we are trying to find out.
Police confirms that 250 election-related offences were registered in the just concluded election.
And out of the 28 policing regions, 5 did not register any major incident. These include Kidepo region, Mount Moroto, CP, that is Kapchorwa, Sezibwa, and West Nile. Those ones did not register any major incident.
Security forces continue with their mandate, geared at ensuring that there is peace and security of Ugandans and their property. Ivan Kahwa and Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC.
The Luwaga Municipality NRM Treasurer Sheikh Swaibu Musa Sentomero says a lot has been achieved in the country during the NRM regime. Sentomero, however, says government needs to address the rising levels of idleness among the youth.
A recent study established that a big number of the youth remain jobless despite being in possession of prerequisite qualifications. Most of these youth are living in urban areas where the incidence of COVID-19 is high and therefore run a risk of being infected. Before COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc to Uganda, government had doubled efforts to end rampant joblessness. Government, in partnership with qualified recruiting bureaus, ensured that Ugandans got job placement in Arab countries. Sheikh Swaib Sentomero says government needs to spread out developmental programs among the youth, especially Emyoga, Operation Wealth Creation, Skilling Uganda, among others.
Waliwo kye bayita unemployment mu bavubuka. Abavubuka bano beetaaga, nze nalowooza nti gavumenti nga kati bwe yaleese emyoga gino tekoma ku miyoga gyokka ndowooza twalyongeddemu amaanyi nga gavumenti amakolero ne gajjanga mangi. Kati unemployment eno bwekendeera abavubuka bano ne bafuna emirimu tebayinza kufuna kizibu ng'ekyo. Kati bo balabanga batalina mirimu ne bagaa nti kati tulonde bwe tutyo boolyawo.
Sheikh Sentomero thanked government for the roads, extension of power lines to rural areas, improvement of the health sector, schools, and professionalizing of the UPDF.
Akati watabodda ku buwabuzi bw'amagye ndowooza era nga era tugambe nti amagye galina okubeera ne discipline. Kati omuwabuzi w'amagye w'oku ntikko General Salim Saleh alina engeri gy'akwatamu amagye ne gabeera nga abantu ab'amagye oba oli mukulu otya ng'okkakkana n'obeera ng'oli muntu ki?
This was during a press conference at his home in Luwaga, Kampala. The public, however, expects a lot from newly elected leaders, mainly members of parliament and the president, in regard to solving the unemployment query, among other challenges.
abavubuka bafune emirimu movement abantu bakyajagala n'omukulembeze yennyini bakyamwagala tusaba abeerenga abaana bano bonna abalondeddwa abeere nabo kuteesa bateesiganye balabenga bakwasirawo
kusige Swahili wakusinga wansi abantu Uganda basome Swahili kuba kwa singi sura ya msingi.
Sudat Kai, Fred Kasibante, UBC News.
Kampala Central Division Mayor Salim Uhuru is calling for tolerance and teamwork regardless of political affiliations. As our reporter Shaidat Nasaku reports, Paul Mugambe, the newly elected Nakawa Division Mayor, is also preaching the same gospel.
After the recently concluded division mayoral elections, that saw NRM Salim Uhuru Nsoboga and National Unity Platform's Paul Mugambe winning the Kampala Central and Nakawa divisions mayoral seats respectively, the two had a trail of their divisions in recognition of the support and trust the people gave them. In a one-on-one interviews with the mayors-elect, they committed to unite the electorates, irrespective of their political affiliations. The two are committed to serve the people in line to their manifestos that details their promises.
Both the NRM and the NUP and what, but I'm going to work with everybody. I promise I'll work with whoever will be voted in the office. What I call upon the people is let us now work for the better of Kampala.
Irrespective of party colors, Salim Uhuru says his people of Kampala Central Division know what they want.
To fish in the next pond, I went to another pond also of the oppositions who embraced me. So that's why you see, I'm the only one who has gone through that tunnel.
Under the Kampala Capital City Authority Act 2010, all powers to plan for the city were removed from division mayors, entered with the executive director of Kampala Capital City Authority and her technical team. This literally means divisions submit their work plans and budgets to KCCA for implementation. It's against this background that division mayors-elect hold the opinion that 70% of what they're supposed to be doing is done by KCCA, and they pledge to work in accordance with the law that governs Kampala Capital City.
We need everybody on board. We don't need to suppress our people down there. We need to work together, and that's the change I'm going to bring.
We shall not cooperate on policies that affect our people negatively.
Both the two are waiting for the swearing-in day to unveil their martial plans.
It's a project that comes to benefit the people. We shall make sure everyone benefits.
Unemployment is a challenge, and even as I speak now, I've started meeting the youth.
Yesterday, National Unity Platform President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu asked all party members-elect to represent him fully by working for the people who entrusted them with their votes. Now Paul Mugambe, Nakawa Division Mayor-elect, has committed to sticking on the party core interests and urged all those that made it in the same elections to not act contrarily.
This is a true representation of Uganda. Let it echo amongst all of us. Let us make a difference.
They will be very tempting, but I know our members are strong. They'll be able to resist.
In Nakawa Division, 7 people competed in the tight race, and NRM's Burhan Biarhanga Mujisha, who got 20,671 votes, was tussling with National Unity Platform's Paul Mugambe, who won the election with 32,754 votes. In Kampala Central, the race had 3 people competing, while the competition was stiff between NRM Salim Uhuru Nsoboga, who also won the election with 13,114 votes, and National Unity Platform's Hamdan Chigoze Simugoma, who followed with 10,654 votes, and the incumbent Charles Musoke Serunjoji, who lost with 5,318 votes on the DP ticket. Shaidat in Nasaku, UBC.
And the chairman of the organizing committees in Nzuyamasaba, Francis Nagimesi, says activities towards the burial of their cultural leader, Umukukasa Bob Moshikori, are starting tomorrow and will be in observance of the COVID-19 SOPs. Umukukasa Bob Moshikori died on the 4th of January and will be buried on the 30th of this month in Shisabasi village, Bududa district.
Burial arrangements for the Umukuka II Sir Bob Mushikori are underway after his children and wife arrived from Canada. The organizing committee in Nzuyamasaba, Francis Nagimesi, says preparations start tomorrow and will be held scientifically.
I want to emphasize that it will be a scientific burial. The body will not leave the mortuary to go to these places I've mentioned. Morocco, we shall have a picture.
According to the program, the photograph of the Omokuka will be taken to Maluku offices for public viewing on Friday 29th to St. Andrew's Cathedral in Mbale City for Mass, and after the body will be taken to his ancestral home in Bududa.
We expect that we should be burying Nguga by 4 o'clock in Bududa, in his village in Kisabasi.
Born 1948 in the current Bududa district, Bob Mushkori studied there and later joined Kampala schools for his higher education. He later studied political science, and in the early 80s, Mushkori flew out of the country until 2010 when he returned home. After his return, Mushkori served as a member of the Bamasaba Cultural Council and minister in the Inzu Yomukuka. In 2015, Mushkori was elected the second Umukuka of the Bamasaba after the first Umukuka, Ambassador Wilson Wamimbi. Sir Bob Mushkori died on the 4th January this year and has survived with 9 children. He will be laid to rest on Saturday 30th, 2021 in Shivasi village in Bududa sub-county, Bududa district.
Safe Border Uganda has joined other sector players to deliver and link patients to private pharmacies around Kampala and Wakiso districts. The move seeks to simplify access to healthcare services. Now, this comes at a time when the economy is grappling with an inconsistent internet connection, which Safe Border primarily relies on.
Online healthcare models have been successful in Asia, Europe and the United States. In Uganda, the landscape is still underdeveloped despite the available internet, road and transport infrastructure.
Globally, online healthy and wellness products, online business contributes to a turnover of about 4.2 trillion US dollars, which is of course a very big chunk.
The Safe Health campaign will avail to thousands of Ugandans in Kampala and Wakiso pharmaceutical products that will be prescribed by a medical practitioner at the various private partner pharmacies.
And I think that end-to-end patient-centric model, I think, lends the quality, the convenience. We have also seen that also it's more affordable. Everybody thinks that convenience means that we have to get it at a higher cost. We have found that, for our insurance partners, for instance, we've been able to save them up to 60% of, the claims that they would normally pay out. So they're able to, per encounter, save 60%, per encounter versus traditional healthcare. And what we think is actually going to happen over the long term is we're going to see healthcare insurance plans reduce their premiums, making healthcare insurance more affordable, meaning people can get their monthly refills. Even better if they can also do that through apps like Safe Border and their partnerships that they have with Rocket Health.
However, the initiative comes at a time when inconsistencies in internet connectivity over the last 2 weeks have plagued the smooth running of online businesses.
Most of the companies like us, like Jumia, plus many others, depend on external investors outside Uganda. You could easily say outside East Africa. And these investors have a very good understanding of what is happening in the world. And when they hear that your government shut down internet without proper communication, it just sets a very bad reputation. It will make it very difficult for other innovations to come out. It will make it very difficult for an initiative like Safe Border to grow and be able to cross many borders.
Building this much-needed market will create a more trustful and efficient supply of health products, sustain the earnings of quality pharmacies and other points of sales for medical products. Charlotte Amuge for UBC News.
Iganga Chief Magistrate has rejected an application for recounting Chigulu North constituency parliamentary poll votes of 14th January. The application was submitted by Ismail Badogi Waguma, an independent candidate, arguing that the counting exercise had some irregularities. Badogi lost the rest to Fred Wino Chakulaga of the NRM, who garnered 14,560 votes. Iganga Chief Magistrate Catherine Aguero said in her ruling that the applicant had not paid the security fees of 600,000 shillings. Fred Wino Chakulaga was happy with the verdict and said the exercise was free and fair. He applauded the court for respecting the decision of the people of Chikulu North who voted for him.
Presiding, in the name of Catherine Aguero, dismissed the application and asked both parties to meet their own costs. I congratulate the people of Chikulu North, and most especially because the truth has come out. The truth forged evidence to overturn that victory. So I congratulate the people of Chikulu North, and I want to promise them that this time around I'm going to serve the ultimate lowest person, ultimate voter. I'm going to improve where in my first term I fell short, and particularly I've come up with the programs. I'm going to give out upholds to the ordinary person. I'm going to give out a kit for Munom Kabi in every parish. That kit has
God for the victory which has been moved today, that at last God has shown his victory. With me, I just call upon the elect MP just to fulfill all the pledges that he has been telling the voters, and even linking his office to the grassroots level and work in hand with the voters so that the service delivery can be smoothly utilized and delivered to the voters.
I want to assure the electorate is that he will fulfill whatever he pledged, because the good thing with Wino is that whatever he promises, he delivers.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education and Sports officials will soon convene to come up with a position on when schools shall resume. This was revealed by the State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, who, while addressing principals of health training institutions in Uganda at HB Hotel in Hoima City. Let's take a look.
The Minister of State for Higher Education, John Chrysostom Muyingo, has refuted reports on social media that schools are to be reopened. He says the ministry's top management will take a position on whether to reopen the schools or not, and the decision will be made public. Reopening schools will require coming up with standard operating procedures like they did when candidates were reporting back to school.
Trying to consider is the school reopening. I want to ask the public to be patient, take care of our children while at home, and wait for the communication from the Minister of Education and Sports when we are ready. The most important thing at this stage is to make sure that we prepare to bring back the children to school. When we are sure they will be healthy, they will be safe, the teachers, parents, and the children will be equally safe. That's why we have got to hear, deliberate, and look at all the reports that have been generated by the inspectors.
Muyingo has also unveiled plans by the Ministry of developing a curriculum for health training institutions.
So how for you, government is prepared to fund the review of our curriculum, so that the products that pass out at all the time are those who have the market needs, who can afford it.
Simon Eleku, the acting permanent secretary, says they have drafted the technical and vocational education training TVET policy that will soon be presented to Parliament to be passed into law.
The NCC contains a number of guidelines that will help us manage our institutions. And I believe, Honorable Minister, the remaining part of this complete book is the TVET law, which is being prepared now, and I know it's at a high level.
Mark Kalanzi, the chairperson of the Association of Principals of Health Training Institutions in Uganda, says as institutions they are facing a number of challenges that they want government to address.
We also have a challenge of remuneration of tutors and their progression in private institutions. We have a challenge of job security in private. Some institutions have no viable governing councils.
And I'll take a quick break. When we return, more details. You are watching News Tonight.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Stay connected to the largest 4G network in Uganda, anytime, anywhere, using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi, available at only 123,000 Uganda shillings. This comes with 15 GB free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 users at a go and still enjoy a shared yet unmatched internet experience. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GB. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
A human rights defender is anyone working to promote and protect human rights in a non-violent manner. This often exposes them to risk. Are you a woman human rights defender, a journalist, legal professional, youth and/or person with a disability engaged in defending the rights of others, and your right has been violated or abused in the process, or you have encountered someone defending people's rights whose rights have been violated? Contact the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders Uganda on toll-free line 0800 100 250. or helpline 0778 576 852.
Connect to the world for free on Ayoba. Chat with friends for free. Play games all day for free. Jam to Ziki for free. You can also send money through Ayoba. Absolutely no MBs needed. To download the app, visit www.mtn.co.ug/mymtn and select Ayoba.
Everywhere you go, MTN. Leaders who care create a good learning environment.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Now in business news, protectionism has been identified as the major factor hindering procurement processes in different government institutions. The Commissioner of Civil Service College, Uganda, Savia Mugwanya, says some public servants dodge procurement procedures due to protectionism. She was officiating a 3-day procurement training course for the staff of the Directorate of Industrial Training, Lugogo, Kampala.
The challenge affecting the procurement process in the country include lack of knowledge about PPDA Act procedures, limited capacity building among public servants, bureaucracy involved among others.
They are not aware of the repercussions of not being able to procure the services they are going to utilize as an institution according to the regulations. That becomes a very high-risk area in terms of corruption, in terms of loss of revenue and funds for government.
Civil Service College Uganda is conducting a 3-day capacity building training of heads of departments of the Directorate of Industrial Training of Ministry of Education and Sports about procurement procedures and the guiding law.
In some instances, we have seen heads of departments going against the provisions of the PPDA Act and procuring items outside those provisions and subsequently attracting litigation.
The Commissioner, Civil Service College Uganda, Savia Mugwanya, cautions protectionism tendencies among government workers, which cost taxpayers money.
We are going to have timely provision of services. We are going to have staff and officers who understand the processes that they have to go through to be able to legally procure the services that they use. And that means that you're even going to have integrity in terms of how we procure these services.
After the inauguration of the Contracts Board of Director, Industrial Training, it deemed fit to provide them necessary contracts, management and procurement skills to the new board to manage the human resource of the institute.
So that contracts committee has to be trained. But we took that advantage also to train heads of departments and even the full internal audit and accounts section and the procurement and disposal unit. All those units are attending the training. This training is to empower them.
This 3-day training intends to impact on business ethic among the staff of Directorate of Industrial Training to realize value for money in procurement. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
And on the international scene, East Africa has not just suffered from the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, but also the worst locust plague in decades. Now, the swarms are returning, and experts are concerned about food security in the region. Kenya has been heavily affected by the worst invasion of locusts in 70 years. In Garissa, the insects have driven farmers into despair. Their farms' total yields in 2020 were destroyed in less than 24 hours.
When Kenya's first wave of locust invasions in decades was reported, many farmers were left counting huge losses. And in eastern Kenya, people are now worried that a second invasion of the pests could be currently underway. Farmers in Kitui County are now calling for help.
The locals have destroyed cowpeas, vegetables, green grams and maize plantations. They are not eating much grass. They are targeting what you've planted. We have been using crude methods to chase them away, like shouting and using leaves.
But even as the Kenyan government battles the locusts, farmers here are already counting losses.
We came together as farmers to chase the locusts away as a group. There were so many in one garden that it was impossible for one person to chase them.
According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, immature swarms continue to arrive in Kenya and spread throughout the northern region. Swarms have so far been spotted in at least 4 counties.
What we're doing is to help these farmers on what we call livelihood protection and recovery. Protection is on what livelihood is left after the invasion. You want to protect that so that it doesn't degenerate further. And recovery is what was lost. So you want to bring them back to where they were. Yeah, so what we're looking at now is to support the farmers first, maybe through various means. But one of them will be like cash transfers. Some conditional, some unconditional. Where conditional, you'd say, we will support you as a farm household with X amount, and this amount has to specifically go in purchase of, say, seeds, or you do the purchase of seed and distribute, so that these farmers can easily get what they can plant for the next season.
FAO says dry conditions in areas where the swarms are arriving will see them spread throughout southern Ethiopia and northern Kenya. There's a moderate risk that a few swarms could also reach central Kenya and parts of Tanzania, Uganda and even South Sudan by early 2021. It says that once swarms arrive in favorable areas, they will mature and lay eggs that will hatch and cause hopper bands to form in February and March. With trained scouts very integrally important to disseminate information about locusts, many farmers are requesting for capacity building so that they can tackle the problem firsthand when they spot the locusts. For this, will actually reduce quick losses they're making once the locusts attack their farms.
Now, the Moroccan authorities began Monday in Casablanca the distribution operation of the vaccine against the new coronavirus in the regions ahead of the launch this week of a national large-scale vaccination operation, sources on the premises reported. The first trucks loaded with vaccine doses left in the morning in the Autonomous Refrigeration Authority, that's the Autonomous Refrigeration Authority of Casablanca, where the vaccines are stored under very tight security conditions. Morocco received last Friday a first batch of the British vaccine AstraZeneca, manufactured in India, and it will receive this Wednesday the first consignment of the Sinopharm vaccine from China.
Le ministère fait également en sorte que tous les centres de vaccination et de stockage, au niveau local et national, soient bien équipés. Nous nous sommes d'abord assurés de la qualité des vaccins qui ont été transportés à une température entre 2 et 8 degrés avant de préparer les commandes qui sont distribuées.
And Russia and the United States have struck a deal to extend the new strategic arms reduction treaty, the Kremlin said on Tuesday. The treaty would keep in place the major arms reduction treaty between the world's two biggest nuclear powers. The announcement came after a phone call between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Joe Biden, the two leaders' first call since Biden took office on 20th January. The White House said that both sides are willing to extend the New START for 5 years, agreeing to have their teams work urgently to complete the extension before the treaty expires on 5th February. The Kremlin said Putin and Biden also exchanged diplomatic notes earlier on Tuesday, confirming the procedures required for the pact to come into force. Putin also said to Biden that normalization of relations between Moscow and Washington would be in both countries' interests. Signed in 2010, the New START is a cornerstone of the global arms control, limiting the numbers of deployed strategic nuclear warheads to 1,550 and delivery systems to 700 for each. New START is the last remaining nuclear arms control pact in the force between the two nuclear superpowers. And Chinese ambassador to the United States, Chu Tai-kai, on Tuesday expressed the hope that the new U.S. administration can create a fair business environment for Chinese companies. In an interview with China's Central Television, CCTV, via video link, the ambassador shared his view on what attitude toward China by U.S. President Joe Biden and what are differences between him and his predecessor, Donald Trump. Q hopes that the new U.S. president can make some changes with regards to Chinese enterprises operating in the United States like Huawei and ZTE, which have been subject to various suppression. He stressed that China-U.S. economic and trade relations are mutually beneficial and win-win in nature.
Double data. Airtel introduces double data, the biggest deal ever on smartphones in Uganda. Buy a smartphone, 3G or 4G, and get 100% data bonus from Airtel. Airtel is giving you 100% bonus data on all weekly and monthly bundles for every new smartphone connected to Airtel for the first 3 months. Dial *175*9# to enjoy double data. Double data, double data. Oh, binovie birumaba ya ye. Airtel, the smartphone network, regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
Byolina okumanya ng'omulonzi ku lunaku lw'okulonda. Weeyanjule mu kifo we balondera, we weewandiisiza ng'omulonzi. Lagayo ekiwandiiko ekikukkiriza okulonda. Kayinza okuba akakonge akakakasa nti oli mulonzi oba endagamuntu yo. Ku bino bw'oba tolinaako n'ekimu, era osobola okuyambibwa avunaanyizibwa ku by'okulonda okukebera n'okukakasa ebikukwatako ku lukalala lw'abalonzi. Avunaanyizibwa ku by'okulonda ajja kukakasa ebikukwatako ng'akozesa ekyuma ekikebera ekinkumu. Oluvannyuma lw'okwekenneenya buli kimu, bajja kukuwa akakonge kw'olondera. Yolekera awali ebbaafu, olonde omuntu gw'oyagala ng'ossa akayini mu kabokisi oba ng'okozesa ekinkumu. Akakonge kw'olondedde kazinge busimbalaala nga bw'onoolagibwa avunaanyizibwa ku by'okulonda. Yolekera awali akabokisi omuteekebwa obululu n'obwegendereza osseemu akaluluko. Omuyambi w'avunaanyizibwa ku kulonda ajja kusalaama ku ntikko y'olugalo lwo okukakasa nti omaze okulonda. Yolesa eddembe lyo okulonda abakulembeze bw'oyagala. Kakasa nti ekifo we balondera kiggulawo ku ssaawa emu ey'okumakya ate okulonda kuggalawo ku ssaawa 11 ez'olweggulo. Tuuka mu kifo w'olondera mu budde. Kyalira omutimbagano gw'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda ogwa www.ec.or.ug okumanya ebisingawo. Obubaka buno bukutuusibwako akakiiko k'ebyokulonda.
And now in the world of sports, Uganda Cranes failed to advance to the quarter-final. The China Football Premier League giants KCCA FC in a practical test match where the Hippos secured a 3-2 win against KCCA FC at the Philip Omondi Stadium. The technical team says having such games helps tacticians to identify suitable combinations of players as well as simplifying the coach's job for final team selection, since every player works towards impressing coaches as the team looks towards participating in the upcoming Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations tournament due this year. Now we bring you highlights of the game where Juma Valinya, Ivan Borgere, Richard Basango, among others, scored in the clash.
Tomorrow think of what we did yesterday, what we did in Sekafa in the past. We need to focus players who are fit, because this is a current tournament now ahead of us. You need to see that these players are good, physically fit, and the way they possess the ball, their ball usage is perfect. This and it's the reason why we wanted to play, and we play the best team in the country, KCC. I've seen and I've analyzed. I've got what I wanted. It will be better for me tomorrow to go and do my corrections.
Well, that does it for news tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Have yourselves a lovely night.
Well, hello again. I thank you very much for joining us in tonight's weather report. My name is Molin Kenyana. Now, we're seeing a decreasing trend in rainy conditions across the country. We're having mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions across most areas. And looking at our satellite analysis, we can see that we still have those dry winds that are coming in north of our continent. And because of that, we're seeing that we have mostly dry winds that are coming in, bringing in the sunny and dry conditions that we have, especially across northern Uganda and also parts of eastern Uganda. Now, tomorrow morning, We'll start off with mostly a sunny morning, but that will be mixed with cloudy conditions across most areas within the country, although we're likely to have light showers across the central Lake Victoria basin, but that will be over a few areas. Now those will be clearing even in the afternoon, where we shall see mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, and that will be across most places. At daytime highs, we have a warming trend. We are likely to have a maximum of 28 for Kampala, and we're forecasting a warm day for northern Uganda. We have 31 for the Karamoja region, 32 across Gulu as well as Kitgum, and we are also likely to have a maximum of 31. That will be across Kasese. Now, some of the wild cities we have for you, we're forecasting rainy conditions. That will be across London as well as Pretoria. And Nairobi, we're forecasting sunny intervals at a daytime high of 28. Also likely to have a cold day for New York with sunny intervals. And Dubai, a sunny day is forecast. Well, that was tomorrow's weather forecast. Thank you very much for joining us. I wish you a good night.